Good afternoon, participants. I welcome you all for the final session of the day 3 of 5-day online faculty development program on emerging trends in sustainable technologies, sponsored by Atal AICT Training and Learning, organized by Department of Mechanical, Mangalore Institute of Technology and Engineering, Moodbidre, Karnataka. I welcome you all for the session on methodologies for range optimization of an electrical vehicle for sustainable mobility, a thermal perspective, will be delivered by Mr. Ravi Ranjan, Lead Engineer, Mahindra & Mahindra, Tamil Nadu. I will be happy and glad to introduce Mr. Ravi Ranjan to all the participants. Mr. Ravi Ranjan is currently working as a lead engineer in Mahindra Research Valley, Tamil Nadu. Mr. Ravi Ranjan has received his BE degree in mechanical engineering and MTech from IIT Madras. His work resulted in development of robust thermal systems for KUV, TUV, and XUV platforms. On behalf of Department of Mechanical, Mangalore Institute of Technology and Engineering, and behalf of all the participants, we welcome you, sir. Continuing further, Mr. Ravinarayan has over 10 years of research and product development experience. His research areas include thermal management of electrical vehicles, modeling and analysis of thermal systems, product design. He received more than 9 Best Performer Award and 1 Patent Award for his contribution in the area of new product design and development. Presently, he is responsible for developing the cooling system for IC and EV powertrain and developing various methodologies on vehicle energy management for improved fuel economy and customer delight. He also holds 3 SAE publications in his name. Now the session is over to you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Hello, Ravi Ranjan. Your slides are visible. Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're perfectly audible now.
Okay. Uh, a very good afternoon to all of you, and my gratitude to Dr. Raj Shekhar, which has given me immense opportunity to express my views on the range optimization methodology for electric vehicle for a sustainable mobility, having a thermal perspective. Here we will talk mostly about this need of EVs, that is your sustainable mobility. Okay, so before going to this need of EVs, we should understand why there is a push for electric vehicles. Although we have a robust IC engine and as well as we have upcoming this hybrid vehicle technology also. So the answer for this is uh, regulation. So this regulation is the major driving factor uh, for new emerging technologies in the field of your automotive field. This is the same thing is applicable for your day-to-day life also. Like if a student has to go for his next semester, he has to pass the exam. Unless and until he will not pass the exam, he will be not promoted. Similarly, the same way, there are certain guidelines and regulations for the EVs or the automobile transportation systems are there. So you have to meet the regulation norms, then only you will able to sell the vehicle. So in India, who is the regulatory body? So Bureau of Energy Efficiency is the regulatory body, and implementation agency is your MORT, Ministry of Transport, Road Transport and Highway. So what they are doing actually, so this MORT is having a tie-up with your ARI, ICAT, so where they are doing certification of the vehicle, whether it is worthy in terms of sellable or not, worthy in terms of like whatever you are promising in terms of fuel economy, in terms of emission, whether those parameters are being met or not. So based on that one, they are certifying you and you are selling the vehicle. Now see the trend for this. As I told, there is a regulation of CO2 emission because day by day this CO2 emission, that is your greenhouse gas, is going tightening because of this many environmental changes which we are happening, and we are also doing some Geneva analysis where we have placed that we will reduce the CO2 percentage by close to 20-30% in the upcoming next years. So I will just highlight some of the points here. If you see this graph is basically for India. So if you see here for 2017-18 standard, so we had this graph line where I have listed all the list of automobiles which we are falling under the line. So they are qualifying to sell the vehicle in India. Okay, and there is one average fuel economy. What is this average fuel economy? We call this CAFE, corporate average fleet economy. So what is the concept is like the amount of vehicle which you are selling in the vehicle in the year. So that vehicle, how much CO2 it is producing divided by your weight average. Okay, that is nothing but your curve weight. So for 2017 and 2018, we had a target of 130 gram per CO2. So the target will come close to this location, and where in India all the manufacturers are falling at close to 121. And where these are the some of the list of the individual vehicles which we are well qualifying the limits. Now in 2020 and 2023 also, the limit has been stringent. Now it has came to 113 gram per gram per kilometer. Okay, so as you see, these targets are becoming stringent in terms of CO2. So what you have to do here, so you will find one very good trend that this line can be made once I am reducing the curb weight. Okay, also if I am increasing my fuel efficiency, or if I am increasing some of the vehicle like hybrid vehicles which are having very efficient CO2 emission because of this power and split mode of battery application as well as your IC engine application. So this will meet my target, correct? Is this the same trend our global views also following? We can see that. Yes, if you see this worldwide CO2 emission trend, so here you can see that India currently 2021 it has to reach 113 gram per kilometer, and if we go further till 2025, the norms will further stringent, and it will come close to 100 or 95. While if you see other OEMs which are European Union, they are already meeting the targets. Like you can see, Europe 95, they have to meet in 2021, while we are 113. So there is an immense pressure on the Indian automobile industry that this target has to be made. Otherwise, because of this regulatory authority, you will be not able to sell the vehicle. So that is a threat to the system. Okay. So since this is a threat, so if threat is there, then people will be moved forward. Okay, to see the out of the box thinking. So there is a need of innovation in the automobile industry, so that this kind of gap analysis can be done, and we will be able to sell the vehicle. So this will give you sustainable development in terms of greenhouse emission. Now, need of innovation and future trend vehicle. So if you see the future trend of the vehicle, so these are the lines of, again, regulatory lines. Okay, so for 2015, for 2020, 25, and 25 EU, European nations. So you are able to see that uh, as these lines are becoming down, means more stringent are happening. People are moving from gasoline to gasoline hybrid, diesel to diesel hybrid. See, if you see, these things are pure diesel vehicle, but it has moved to diesel hybrid vehicle. You are able to see that one. The same thing, gasoline has moved to gasoline hybrid, so that your CO2 norms should be met. But after 2025, you will see that the people are not moving to diesel hybrid or gasoline hybrid. They are moving to PHEV, plug-in hybrids. Then only your stringent targets can be met. Okay, and there are other bunch of clusters where people are mostly moving to the electric vehicle. So this gives us the trend that there is a push, there is a need of electric vehicle in automobile industry, and this is applicable for European market as well as Indian market. Now we have two options. Either we can go this plug-in hybrid, or either we can go for this pure electric hybrid. So we have to choose wisely in India, which will be more suitable for us. So if I go to the left one, that is your hybrid electric vehicle. So we have certain challenges, because again, it's a hybrid electric vehicle. So we have battery pack as well as your IC engine. So if IC engines are there, then again you have reciprocating parts. Since two components are there, see, you have two power pack. One is IC engine and one is your traction battery. So you have very complex architecture. Sometimes you are working with engine alone, sometimes with battery alone, sometimes both. So power split mode is happening, power alone mode is happening. So it asks for very complex architecture, and control is also very sensitive. As well as, to control this architecture, we have to go for a very high complex CAN system or fiber system. Okay, for the CAN communication. So these are again costly in nature. So this will increase your vehicle cost as well as vehicle weight also, because two things you are taking into account. Of course, it has very good fuel economy, because you have downside your IC engine, and you have given this battery pack. The battery pack is a cleaner energy. Again, because of downsizing IC engine, you have less emission, but you don't have zero tailpipe emission. You have tailpipe emission. Okay, because of two things, you have a higher vehicle weight, you have expensive, and since you have you are using IC engine also, so again there will be higher maintenance from the engine side, because again every 10,000 kilometers you have to go for oil change and other regular service requirement. Now we have another option that is coming, pure electric vehicle. So in pure electric vehicle, if you see, if you just compare, we have simply removed all the IC engine components. Like instead of fuel tank, we have replaced with a bigger battery pack. Electric traction motor, we have increased a little bit more size, and IC engine we have completely removed. So what it has given advantage, that it has no reciprocating parts involved. Since no reciprocating parts are involved, it means your reliability is improved. Okay. Second thing, whatever the motor I am using, that motor is not newly developed. It's a decade-old motor technology, and it's a proven technology. So no need to go for any worry about your motor failures. Third thing is, it asks for simple architecture. because here power source is alone, and in the same power source, it has to meet all the requirements. Third part is, if you see the inherent nature of IC engine, so IC engine have at a certain torque band, at a certain speed band, and it's a narrow band, so that you are using manual transmission or automatic transmission for the power delivery. But this is not the case of your electric vehicle. Electric vehicle has an inherent advantage of this flat power delivery and flat torque delivery. So what you are doing, you are reducing your gearbox complex structure. Single gearbox can meet your engine matching or power delivery requirement. Fourth point is, it has zero tailpipe emission. There is no tailpipe. You can see in the picture also. Fourth one, it is cheaper than HEV because I don't have any IC engine components. Now, the important point, it is almost maintenance free because you are not going for regular oil servicing or checkups, because the kind of batteries you are putting, that is a maintenance free lithium ion battery. You don't need to top up the water inside the things. Okay, so these are the advantages which pushing India to go for pure electric vehicle instead of this hybrid electric vehicle. Any question till this slide?
No questions, sir.
Okay.
Please continue, sir. We shall discuss the questions at the end of the session, sir.
Okay, sure, sir.
Thank you.
So now,
Questions.
need of EV for sustainable mobility. So as of now, we have produced so many facts and that we have to go for electric vehicle. But the question comes whether this is a sustainable mobility. Whether if I am going for electric vehicle, whether this mobility is going to sustainable, or whether this mobility is going to replace the IC engine in terms of performance or in terms of your sustainability. So the question is, first, it should be affordable. Affordable means it should be within the range of customer pocket. So to make the customer pocket, there are certain government incentives are coming, like there is no registration fees for electric vehicle. There are certain policies, charging policies are coming where your electric vehicles can be charged free of cost. So these policies are making the system more affordable. Second thing, performance. When I am comparing back to back from IC engine to electric vehicle, so whether this my engine is competent with IC engine, yes, of course, it is competent because of flat torque and power delivery. I have fantastic NVH because I don't have any reciprocating elements. So NVH is very fantastic. If NVH is very fantastic, what I can do, I can downsize the material thickness of the vehicle. Right, material thickness I can downsize. I can remove the NVH materials. So this will again make the system more affordable to the customer. Again, safety point of view. So again, safety point of view, there is a strict norms that all the electronic elements has to follow ASIL 262626 norms. So based on this one, there are strict guidelines also there for high voltage safety or for high voltage safety. And as of now, there are almost negligible cases related to safety. There are some cases, but those are under control. Third thing is maintenance. If maintenance is very good, then it will become sustainable mobility. Whether maintenance are good, yes, no reciprocating pumps, maintenance free battery. Next is reliability and efficiency. Whether it is reliable and efficient, yes, it is reliable and efficient because we are using motor. Motor is a old decade technology, so it's a reliable. All the failure modes has already been covered. Efficiency. So if you see efficiency in terms of IC engine to your electric vehicle, so IC engine basically what it converts, low grade energy to mechanical energy, it is converting, and efficiency is close to 25 to 30%. Whereas it is converting high grade energy. Your electric vehicle getting energy from the battery pack, that is high grade energy, convert to mechanical energy, and it is almost close to 95% because here we are using permanent magnet synchronous motor. It is more than 95% efficient at the vehicle operating ranges. Another point is charging infra. So if charging infra is there, then it will be become a sustainable mobility. So yeah, of course, Indian government policies are there. I will cover this in next chapter, next slide, how this charging infra they are maintaining it. Okay, so you have heard the news that many petrol pumps has been told that you have to put this charging facilities mandatory. So these all push are happening from all together to make this vehicle affordable as well as sustainable. Now the most important parameter where we as R&D engineers are working, and where you as a coming talents, the students which you are seeing this can contribute to the vehicle range. So vehicle range includes vehicle mass optimization, optimized thermal logic optimization, control logic optimization. Do we have any hardware change or software change so that my vehicle should be able to give the maximum vehicle range? So whenever I'm driving, I will be trouble free. I will not feel that my vehicle will be drained. I will be not able to return the home. Okay, this will give you the confidence, and again, it is related to your sustainable mobility. Now, environment. Since I talk, we are focusing on sustainable mobility, so there should be sustainable development also. So sustainable development means environment also you have to take care. That is the push is going, correct? Because of this regulatory body, CO2 norms are coming. So as related to the environment is concerned, this vehicle is giving fantastic zero tailpipe emission. Now to the charging part. So we have the enormous solar infrastructure. So solar energy, abundant solar energy that is free of cost. So we have solar energy where from where we can harness the power. We have hydro energy, we have nuclear energy from where we can harness the power. And these are our clean form of energy. Now, reuse and recycle. So if my vehicle is able to reuse and recycle, so again the overall cost will come down, and it will make the ultimate goal, that is our affordability, like power electronics. So power electronics can be reused after the life of the vehicle also, because it's not a rubbing part. Okay, it's not a piston or cylinder that over the life it will rub and it will completely gone. It is not like this. Battery pack. So after the battery pack, there have come the mechanism that again they can extract the lithium ores from the battery, so they can reuse the battery pack. E-motors. So whatever the e-motors we have, the magnets, the windings, again you can reuse it. So since it has a fantastic opportunity for reuse and recycle, it will make your system affordable. Now the government policy. So government policy like double ESL and FAME 1, FAME 2. So these are the things has came, okay, to go for a sustainable affordability approach in the to give a push from the government side to make the things more affordable to the customer pocket. So what they are doing is they are working in a five five cycle. So where what they are doing, they are going to each state and identifying whether this opportunity can be deployed. If there is some barrier, like if the charging station is not there, so they are putting the charging station so that the barrier can be eliminated. So they are developing the comprehensive and feasibility policy packages. Policy packages includes charging free charging infrastructure. Second thing, you're lowering the taxation, free registration. If a vehicle costing is 10 lakh, nowadays 10 lakh IC engine vehicle, you have to pay close to 1.5 or half lakhs of your registration cost. If this will be eliminated, then again it will directly going to support the customer pocket. Okay, so government is basically working on this four segment: two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, and heavy duty. So by 2025, the government is pushing that all the two-wheelers, which is more below 150 cc, has to be essentially converted to the electric vehicle. So those kind of push is there. So so government push will make the system more affordable. Now, if you see this battery pack economics, because this is the battery pack is also a costly parameter. If you go to the right part of the diagram, so if 100% is the battery cost, so 65% will be close to the material cost, 5% is the labor, 5% of the utility, and 25% is the indirect cost. This is the lump sum costing figure. If you see from if I would have talking in 2010, then of course this mission was little impossible, because that time
Dear participants, very sorry. There is a power failure. That is the point where the speaker is working. So we will wait for another 2-3 minutes. Kindly support.
Hello, is it visible?
Yes, Sir Ranjan. It is visible. You can proceed.
Okay, so I hope I was discussing slide number 8. I
No,
was in
it's
the
all
same
right. It's
slide.
all right. Please proceed.
Okay, okay. So apart from this government initiative, so if you see this battery pack economics, so if I would have taken this session in 2010, so this mission of this electric vehicle sustainable would have seemed little bit, challenging, because at that time we had close to $1,200 per kilowatt hour of battery pack price. But if you see gradually during the year, from the last 10 years itself, you see it has decreased from 1100 to 176, and in 2009 it has came one close to 156. So this is also a promote, this trend also is promoting that when we are going to switch to the EV, so we are going to get clean environment, as well as it will become affordable. It is going to become more affordable than your current IC or hybrid vehicles. Now, till now I have shared the facts and figures, which is promoting this need of electric vehicles, and we are quite confident also, like in coming next and couple of next year. So whatever the electric vehicles which are there in Indian market, so right now close to 3 to 4% market share is there for electric vehicle. One is from Mahindra, Tata Motors, and your Kia or your Hyundai Kona. So this share is going to increase, okay, because lot of push is there, and battery economics is also favorable. Government policy is also favorable. But since electric vehicle is there, so it is not coming in a well-behaved manner in all the forms. So we have certain problems and key challenges in the vehicle system because of its fuel source nature. Here we don't have gasoline or diesel as a fuel. Here we are using your lithium ion as a fuel source. Second thing, the problem with electric vehicle that I cannot top up within 5 or 10 minutes. Just went to the petrol pump and filled it. It is not possible, right? We have to spend for certain hours for fast charging, and little bit 1 and 2 hour more for your normal charging. So these are the challenges. So if your vehicle range is very high, then this top-up challenges can be minimized. Okay. Second thing, since this is the only source, so as a designer or as a vehicle manufacturer, what I want, like all the energy which is coming from the battery is going only in the traction system. It should not go anywhere else. That is the idea. Okay. So it should not go for thermal management for your vehicle system, like cabin comfort, or it should not go thermal management of your battery pack and electric powertrain. But since lithium ions has a certain range of usability, if you use at very high temperature, it will deteriorate and finally it will gone down. If you go for a very low temperature uses, then again it will not perform. Considering India as a climate, so we have a very hot climate, so it is impossible to ride a vehicle without air conditioning. So a manufacturer has to meet those requirements. So those requirements are basically the problems and key challenges, which are going to go in detail, and how we have done that. Some of the glimpses I will share with you. Now, if you see the key challenges, like I have this power electronics cooling system. I have this battery pack. I have this motor. If you see, all having the different range of operation. Battery pack, essentially it has to operate in 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Your power electronics can go till 65 degrees Celsius. Your water cooling temperature can go 85 degrees Celsius. So these are the certain limitation, and these three temperature boundary you have to maintain in single vehicle. So it is again asking for a very intelligent thermal management. So what the current challenge is, like thermal management of EV batteries, when we have a climatic temperature from 0 degree to 50 degrees Celsius. Second challenge is we have various design challenges to achieve the optimal performance, since we have three category of temperature range. Now, the third is how should we manage the heat? So if heat is coming from your battery pack or from the motor, how you are going to manage it? Management means how you are going to cool it, how should be its transient performance, or whatever the heat you are taking from this one system, whether it can be reused to the other system. Now, in electric vehicle, you have both the cooling, right? One is your passenger comfort cooling, and then another is your battery cooling when you are going for high ambient. So when these both coolings are coming, who should you prioritize? Either battery system or your cabin comfort system. And you know, this cabin comfort system is a customer touch point. If it is not performing, people will simply will tell this vehicle is not good. So that is the important parameter which we have to take care. Our design is whether this design can meet both the system together, whether the system is robust so much enough, or in case of extreme temperature, like if I went to Leh Ladakh where we have a temperature of -5 degree, whether the system can able to work perfectly in this temperature, or whether if I went to Rajasthan, so how the system behavior will be there, whether the system is going to meet. So these are the first fundamental challenges comes during the design of the EVs. But this is not the one level of challenge. There is one level 2 also, real drive condition. So in real drive condition, like you see, like you go to Bangalore area or Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, so you have this bumper to bumper traffic. So if you bumper to bumper traffic means front vehicle exhaust system will come in front of your vehicle condenser. So you know this condenser is a very highly temperature efficient. Your pressure will increase. Once your pressure will increase, your duty cycle of compressor will increase. Your compressor will demand more power. More power means again your vehicle range will come down. This is asking for again a very good sensitive thermal management. Aggressive driving. Since I told we have the drivability of this vehicle is very good, because in low RPM also you can attain a maximum torque. So acceleration performance is fantastic. And nowadays newcomers, they love to drive the vehicle, in high speed. So again, in high speed, if you are driving at high speed, sudden acceleration, so that much amount of energy it is demanded from the battery system. And if the battery is providing that much of energy in terms of C rate, it will follow again. A battery system again will follow Joule's law and Joule's law of heating. So again, that heat has came. Again, the heating system has to be limited by your cooling system. So again, in nutshell, again your thermal duty cycle should be intelligent enough, or the duty cycle will increase, and this finally will create your vehicle range loss problem. I discussed this temperature variation from 0 degree to 15 degrees, 50 degrees Celsius. Now, if you see this all electric vehicle, they have very small opening area. Why they have given small opening area? So that they can reduce the CV drag. CV drag coefficient of your CV drag is nothing but your coefficient of aero drag. So when your vehicle is moving in the road with high speed, so because of the CD system, you will have close to 15 to 16 your kilowatt of power, which is wasting in terms of drag system. So to minimize it, they have given a small opening area. Now the aerodynamics person which has designed this is very happy, okay, because he has reduced the CD by closing the openings. But another problem has popped up. Since your opening has reduced, now your front end module where your heat exchangers are placed, now they are getting very less air. Okay, if they are getting very less air, they have to rely on completely on the your cooling fan. Again, cooling fan will operate on high speed. It will demand more energy. More energy means again your thermal system will be stressed, and at the end of the day, again it will ask your loss of vehicle range. So these are the fundamental challenges which are coming in the vehicle system. Now, to meet this two level of level 1 and level 2 of your problems which is associated with electric vehicles, so we have certain methodology which we are working here. Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Because I am not able to see you, any of you. So, okay. So the proposed solution is ultimate solution is vehicle range optimization. So this vehicle range optimization is one is done through the help of your optimized thermal management, your calibration or recalibration of your controller logic, hardware change, logic change. So basically, we are targeting two things here. One is your battery and powertrain thermal management, and right side your vehicle cabin thermal management. Because this is the two most things which is taking your energy apart from the traction load. Okay, so what we are doing here, so we are doing this model based approach. So battery system, your powertrain thermal management, so we are modeling it in a separate. So cabin thermal modeling I am modeling separately, your vehicle modeling I am doing separately. So in vehicle modeling, if you see, we will be having only the traction load coming from the your friction as well as the aero drag as well as the acceleration requirement. Cabin is again with your occupants. If you have 4 occupants, 3 occupants, so based on that, you have your cabin conditioning requirement like 21 degree, 24 degree, or 16 degree. So that kind of analysis we will do, and if to meet those requirements, how the energy distribution follows, or how the energy loss is coming from the compressor. So this will be directly coupled to the battery system, because battery is the only source of the energy provided here. After that, once these 3 models are ready, then we are doing this control logic implementation. Control logic implementation, what we are doing, like in previous slide we had question like whether the both system can be switched on, which priority you should give, how they can go to function in extreme climate condition. So those things we are seeing here. And after that, final simulation, or you can say course simulation, we are doing it to arrive at the vehicle range for different outputs. Like for cabin thermal management, we have different set points which are put it. Again, for load parameters, where we have this traction. Again, this thermal modeling for cabin cooling logic. So this will finally give you some kind of design experiment tool. So some input parameters. So based on input parameters, how much will be your vehicle range? Okay, so this is the front loading activity we are doing with the simulation. Now I will go in detail, step by step. So first you should understand the system. So if you see the system, instead of fuel tank you have battery pack. Instead of IC engine you have power electronics, your traction controller and your motor, and you have some thermal management components like your radiator, condenser and your compressor. This is the basic architecture. If you open this component, you will see here battery pack. So battery pack is a insulated battery box where we have this upper case and down case. And if you see, these are the cooling plates are there. So these are the cooling plates. These are the cooling plates. And here is the battery cells are there. These battery cells are prismatic in nature. This is the battery module. So this module are stacked here, and this stacking is placed on this one. So based on the heat rejection, because of this demand, so this heat rejection is directly going on the cooling plates. So this cooling plate is supported with your one cooling system having the ethylene glycol mixture, and again it is supported with your chiller. So because it has to operate a range of 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, so we will deploy chiller for hot climate. And once you go for cold climate, then where the temperature is, you can say minus 10 degrees or 10 degrees Celsius. Again, you have to bring back to this temperature by using battery heater. So those things are there. So major components are BMS, chiller, water pump, HVAC unit. And if you come to this part, so we have the major components is your OBC, your onboard charger for the charging of the vehicle, your motor, and their inverter. DC-DC is nothing but you have here high voltage system close to 380 volt. But there are certain auxiliary system like your headlamps, water pump fan. Those operates in 12 volt. So you cannot directly supply. So you need one DC-DC converter from high voltage to low voltage. So those things conversion is going on. But these conversions like boot mode, boost mode, buck mode, or these conversions, they all generate heat, and this heat has to be cooled. Okay, so these are the major components which I told, like water pump, cooling fan is also there, and e-motor is also there. So it has certain your power electronic elements like IGBTs or MOSFETs, you can tell. So this MOSFET has a operating temperature that it cannot, this junction temperature should work close to 150 or 150 degrees Celsius. And since this junction is based on certain sink element, it is based on sink element, so it has to not go more than 80 degrees Celsius. So those kinds of requirements are there. So if you see in India, there we have climate of 45 to 50 degrees of ambient temperature. Maintaining lower temperature is again a very big challenge because your radiator size, surface area will keep on increasing. Now, going to the electric vehicle. So our first methodology is first we are going to identify how is the maximum regeneration is possible whenever the vehicle is decelerating. So this type of modeling we are doing it on which the vehicle is here. If you see, this vehicle is moving on some drive cycle, so some pattern is there. So whenever this vehicle is try to climb this one, so they will so the energy will come from the battery. Okay, so if you see this part, the energy is coming from the battery. But when the vehicle is decelerating from this part, so this is the deceleration zone. Okay, so it is now energy is recuperating. This is the positive part of energy, which is again going to the battery. So this will give us the maximum potential a vehicle can recuperate. After that, we are going to maximum possible range. So in maximum possible range, what we are doing here, don't consider any thermal management. So whatever the battery pack is there, it has to go to direct to the traction. That is our ideology that I told earlier also, that as a designer, we should not give anything to other components. All the battery power should go to the traction only. Then it will give you the maximum. But it is not possible because we have thermal comfort for human and thermal comfort for the battery for their operation. Our next step is deploy this thermal management requirement in energy consumption. So we have two requirements. One is your cabin cooling, another is your battery cooling. So in cabin cooling, we have compressor, condenser, evaporator, cabin. So what we will do subsystem calibration, system level calibration, performance simulation, and after that we do correlation. And based on this one, we will come to know the strategy, how much cabin temperature I should maintain, or whether the cabin temperature is flexible. Like if I am driving at a high speed where the RAM is very good, I can go in lower temperature operation also, because at that time my favorable thing is I am getting more airflow. But when I'm going in city condition, so if in city condition, if I'm trying to maintain the lower cabin temperature, then it will unnecessarily load my compressor, and thus it will reduce the range. So this kind of optimization we are doing it here. So again for compressor, so as a modeling, this calibration you have to do for compressor, condenser, evaporator, and cabin, and after that integration will be done. Then after this, you see this previous slide. After this calibration, we are now integrating the system. So the objective of this integration that I want to minimize the compressor power consumption and maximize the temperature performance. It should be variable also. Highway operation you maximize it. City condition you minimize it. So those kind of trade-off you have to see here, and accordingly, because ultimate aim is range optimization or range increment is the ultimate aim. So these things we have to play accordingly. After making this cabin model, so if you see, this is our cabin model, and this is our vehicle model, and this is our battery model. So here battery packs are there. So here instead of battery packs, we have modeled here the thermal mass, and here these batteries are kept. So batteries is performing in terms of your traction load from the motor as well as load from your compressor. So these two power is supplied. So based on the interaction of the current, it is generating heat, and based on the heat generation, their components, their surface is going to increase, temperature is going to increase or increase. Okay, so this we are maintaining with the chiller loop, or you can say exactly we are doing the thermal management. So what it contains? It contains your battery cooling, it contains your electric powertrain cooling, it contains a cabin cooling, all the three models which we have discussed earlier. So what this model gives? This model gives this the flow of energy from the battery to wheel. So for different circumstances, how is your flow of energy? Okay. Second thing, it will give you range, because all the thing has been coupled with each other, and it's a full vehicle level simulation. So there you have this powertrain, like if you see this right side of my cursor, so you have this driver and the vehicle. So here you can put any drive profile, like we have different like IDC profile or NEDC profile, WLDC, or random you can take, like you have went to this Bangalore area and you have captured certain velocity. So that velocity also profile you can put it here, and you can virtually simulate if actual vehicle is going to go in that zone, how will be the range behavior, or how will be the energy behavior will come on the vehicle level. Third outcomes, it is giving your vehicle thermal load estimation for electric powertrain and battery pack. Okay, because the level 2 concept which we have seen, like temperature variation, your bumper traffic, your acceleration performance, your rash driving, your low cooling area. So this will give you the load parameters which vehicle is giving to the traction mechanism, and this traction mechanism is ultimately getting power from the battery mechanism. So this battery mechanism, how the heat is going to generate, this traction mechanism, which we have this power inverter, your DC-DC. So how the MOSFETs are going to behave, how this dynamic performance are there. So this dynamic performances, peak heat or average heat, whatever the heat is coming, that has to be go out from the system. Otherwise, what it will do, it will damage your junction temperature, and finally your vehicle is come to stop. So those challenges are there. Third thing, it will give you the scope of auxiliary system energy consumption. Since you have the flow of the system, so you can work out, okay, which system is taking how much. So percentage analysis, you can take it. Okay, this system is taking this much percentage, that is taking this much percentage. So can I attack those points? And finally, it will give you the opportunity for this thermal control logic optimization. So logic optimization, again, it will answer your that query, like when to give priority to the system, or both system can be work together or alone. So in that way, we will be able to attack those challenges. Okay, so I will come to the result and conclusion part, on which this modeling has been done, and how we have implemented on the vehicle level, and how much range improvement we have done from the thermal point of view. So if you see, these results are from the same model. So this is the drive profile. So this is the WLTC drive profile, where we have close to 130 kmph is the maximum speed, and the same we are repeating it. So if you see this part where we have variation of speed from 0 kmph to 40 kmph. So this area is depicting your city cycle. Okay. So basically, this is your city cycle, and this is your highway cycle behavior. So in this behavior, you are able to see that here we have semiconductor temperatures inverter, which are MOSFETs, IGBTs, which need to be cooled. So we are monitoring here how it is going. It should not go more than 120 degrees. So it should be within the limit. Or also, if I make the system so robust or so over designed that the system is not this rate is only coming like this, this is also not good, because unnecessary power I'm using it. So what is the purpose is, so we should be as close to the threshold, so that I will only give minimum power consumption to the auxiliary system. The second thing, we are monitoring the motor temperature and average temperatures. So if you see here, these are the auxiliary systems coming into picture. So we have this fan command, we have this water pump command. So there are certain situations when we have very good ram air effect. Okay, so fan is not required. If you see this area, we have very high velocity and we have very good ram air. So here we don't have any fan command. So I'm not using I'm not using at all my cooling fan, and cooling fan is close to 400 500 watt. So 405 watt I'm saving it, but I'm using water pump. Water pump is again close to 50-60 watt. So that can be used. Okay, but if I slow down the water pump, then again I have to use the cooling fan also. So that is not a good trade. Okay, so that kind of trade logic optimization we are doing it. We are controlling the simulation. Second thing, these are the coolant temperature behavior we are seeing from the different cycles. This will give you the idea at what time which auxiliary system has to be switched on, at what time which auxiliary system has to be switched off. And also you are also monitoring your IGBT temperature also, because IGBT temperature finally, or semiconductor temperature finally, we have to save it. So these are the certain things which we have done here. So in battery group, what physics in we have done, like thermal control logic optimization we have done. And in battery pack, we have seen that you have this cooling channel, and you are stacking the battery. So exactly what we have done this static optimization. So the kind of arrangement battery cells are there, the kind of plates are there which is touching to your battery face. So those optimization has been done, so that there is a transfer of heat from the battery cell to the your cooling channels. Otherwise, what will happen if the heat transfer is not good, even though you are providing very cooled or very chilled your cooling through your refrigerant system, but your battery is not able to cool. Okay, so unnecessary you are wasting your energy, and this will reduce your vehicle range. Now coming to, so by these two optimization, we have got almost range improvement of 15% from base to optimize by working on these out on these two parameters. Now again coming to the electric powertrain group, where we have LPR into picture, and we have motor and IGBTs into picture. So if you see, as I told, this circuit can operate till 85 degrees of Celsius. So again here we can play with the logic optimization, we can play with the cooling channel and IGBT position optimizations. So the same thing we have done here also, like whatever the heating elements are there, activities, we try to pass our cooling channel close to that one, so that heat interaction will be fast. So this has given us close to 5% of range improvement. So here, our my basic thing to all you students, like whatever you do battery cooling, equity cooling, or any thermal management, your basic physics is going to same. Okay, again here your fundamentals of physics, like your Newton's law of cooling. Here I have applying the same thing. Only thing, you have to move from conventional way to modern way. Like if there are certain changes, like if your HVAC system, one HVAC system is your mobile, and one HVAC system is your stationary, where you have put this vapor compression cycle. So we are always follow this vapor compression cycle, but we are not trying to play with those things. Like what will happen if I increase the subcooling zone? What will happen, or how this subcooling zone has been increased? So those things we should work. Or this compressor powers, you always say compressor power, okay, but there are always isentropic power efficiencies are involved. So how to improve the isentropic efficiency? So those things we have to focus on that areas. Okay, now coming to the future prospect. So this I have made especially for you newcomers, like this, since this electric vehicle is going to push in India. So what are the future prospects? Because there is not only that if EV come, if electric vehicles are coming, so there is not only that your mechanical engineering or electrical energy engineering people are going to benefit. There is overall development. So if you see, if you are a chemical engineer, so you can work on this future batteries. So future batteries is nothing but lithium air, solid state lithium, lithium phosphate. This is a high capacity energy battery. So here you newcomers can contribute, or maybe you can develop that. Okay, as of now, I have understand that we need some certain cooling requirement from 20 to 30 degree to maintain the lithium batteries. What if I develop a battery which can operate 50 degrees Celsius? My problem solved. I don't have to go for very high thermal management, and I can directly save the energy, and this energy will be used for optimizing or increasing the vehicle range. E-motor, what can I do? Can I increase the efficiency? So any electrical engineer can think about it. Okay, right now electrical efficiency has came up to 99 to 95%. Can it go further? Can the winding temperature can be increased from 120 to 160 degrees Celsius? If you are able to increase it, again we don't need cooling. It will save the energy, it will improve the range. Coming to the HVAC, HVAC is a necessary part for the cabin comfort. But can I decrease the compressor power consumption? Can I decrease the noise? If I decrease the noise of the this compressor element, I don't go for a robust mounting system. It will reduce the weight of the vehicle. It will reduce the cost of the vehicle and make it more affordable. Vehicle lightweighting. So people from the metallurgy, you can work on material composition. Like since it doesn't demand for your reciprocating engine, so vibration is not there. So there is a chance of optimization of material thickness reduction or material composition reduction, so that it will meet the same requirement as of a IC engine. So can we do something here? Can we change the design? Can we change the design of the architecture itself, so that whatever the load points which we are putting, it is going to clear my vibration test or your CA analysis test. This vehicles is put with your telematics. So feature of telematics is that all the data of this electric vehicle drive profile, it is going to save in some cloud mechanism. So there, what engineers will do, they will see the data and accordingly they will define the logics. It's just for improvement of the analysis. Okay, and this electric vehicle is more account of you can say autonomous kind of thing, because you have more control from the IC engine. So you have the opportunity of artificial intelligence. You have opportunity for data science. So people from mechanical, electrical, your computer science, they can involve in Python coding, they can improve the artificial intelligence, they can improve the data science, uh, uh, and accordingly they can improve the conclusions, whatever the data they have got from the telematics of the vehicle. Now charging solution. So till now I have not discussed about civil engineering. So civil engineering, what they can do, they can improve the infrastructure, because this charging solution is done by this solar cell, your hydra or wind energy. So you have to make the dams, you have to work on efficient turbine system. So in this way you are going to contribute. So this is not only the sustainable mobility, this is also I can say it's my view, it's a sustainable opportunity also for everyone. Now coming to the power electronics, high temperature operation limit, can you make it? Can you increase the efficiency? So these are the certain areas which you newcomers and for new faculty and for faculties, it is giving you the chances or I can say an opening area where you can think of for the improvement points. If all this has been solved, then again my system will become idle. Like from battery, I'm directly converting, giving energy to the traction system and thermal management for the occupant. So this will always give sustainable, which will always boost the sustainable mobility in terms of vehicle range. So these all are from my side. So is there any question?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the wonderful and informative session, sir. And there are the few questions in the chat box which I'll be conveying to you, sir. And I think most of them have answered, but yet I'll be conveying you, sir.
Yeah, sir.
The one is, sir, batteries are the heart of the electrical vehicles. Are there any recent improvement in the field of the battery for improving reliability of the battery, which in turn gives confidence to the public on the electric vehicles?
Yes. If you see earlier, we had lithium iron phosphate, we have nickel cadmium battery. Nowadays, we are going for this lithium ion or lithium polymer. So day by day, reliability is going to increase. Here, reliability means I can able to operate the vehicle at higher temperature. It should be it should meet the safety requirement. So if these two things are met, then I can say this battery is a reliable component. So yeah, of course, there is a enormous research going on, and people are working on this three future batteries that I mentioned: lithium air, solid state battery, and lithium sulfur batteries.
Okay, sir. The second one being, sir, by which year can we expect four-passenger electric vehicle?
We already have 4-passenger electric vehicle.
Okay, sir. And charging stations, sir.
If you visit like from Bangalore area, Pune, Delhi, already charge stations are deployed. Government has deployed the charging station at the petrol pumps, where you will be able to charge the vehicle.
Okay, sir. And the
And
other
in
question.
India already we had vehicle like we have this Tata Tigor, Hyundai Kona. These are all passenger vehicles. This is successfully running in India.
Okay, sir. And the other question being, which optimization techniques are used for vehicle range optimization? Are there any? Okay, sir.
Yeah. Continue, sir.
Are there any open source softwares for the vehicle modeling, simulation, and range optimization?
Basically, for student, you can do this vehicle level simulation in your MATLAB Simscape also. Okay, so it is much more convenient and it is much more sufficient, because what you have to do here, you have to go for a map-based optimization, because you are not going for the complex working of the motor. You are mostly dealing with the heat rejection. Okay, so from my opinion, you go for MATLAB. Second thing, your Excel is enough. Only thing you have to use your fundamental physics as well as some correlation. There are certain correlations developed by Rakesh Shah, some one of the books you read. So many correlations has been already developed. Directly use it. There is no high funda simulation software is required.
Okay, sir. The other question is, sir, on what key aspects does a young researcher should work on when it comes to managing thermals of a battery?
One is your life. Second one is your safety.
Okay.
And third one is your specific energy. My specific energy should be very high. It should be close to fuel system. So these are the three fundamentals research area on which we should work for.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, in a pure battery vehicle, battery plays an important role, but how can we increase the battery life in general?
First one, battery life is going to degrade by charging and discharging, because it has limited charge cycle, limited discharge cycle. Okay, so it means for one charge I should maximum utilize the range. So to improve the life of the battery pack, so one thing you can do, unnecessary loading should not be there. Unnecessary loading means if you have the requirement of thermal like AC system, so don't go for a very high cooling. Cooling should be reduced, or cooling should be maintained at little bit higher temperature. Second thing, sudden power demand should not be there. Sudden power demand, I can say like sudden acceleration, because again it will demand very high current C rate. Because this high C rate, again this battery temperature is going to high. So this will reduce your battery life. Third thing, gentle driving is required for the improving the battery life of the vehicle. Fourth is your storage. So whenever you are storing your vehicle, just see that it should not be going to affect more with the environmental condition. Because if you are storing at very high temperature, then it will deteriorate your vehicle. What it means, don't park the vehicle in sunlight. Park inside the garage.
Okay, sir. There is one more question on battery also. Sir, in lithium air battery, how does air works in a battery functioning?
For this lithium air battery, I have not gone much detail, but I will like to reply this through mail. So,
okay, sir. There is one more question, sir. To what extent we can consume the battery so that life can be better?
Yeah.
At what extent you want to consume the battery?
Yes, sir.
See, these are all our lithium-ion batteries. So lithium-ion batteries have been given for a specific reason. It has flat power delivery. So from 100% SOC to 10% SOC, you can use it. Okay. So consumption is only, I can say, it has to maximum go to the traction requirement. It should not go for sudden loading. When sudden loading in terms of when you have high temperature, when your battery is operating at high temperature, high environment, at that time you try to reduce the vehicle loading parameters in terms of your auxiliary system loads. So this will improve your battery. Otherwise, till what can I can use? So I think it can use. You can completely deplete the battery charge also. It will not affect the life.
Okay, sir. Those were the few questions in the chat box, sir, and the session was really informative and it was wonderful for us. And we also like to thank you on behalf of Department of Mechanical Engineering, Mangalore Institute of Technology and Engineering, on behalf of all the participants. Thank you for this session, sir.
Thank you, sir.